What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO did go down 2.71%, 634 the low, 653 the high, and 45.5 million shares being traded. 58.7 is the average. So I see a lot of people online accusing shorts of being kind of the main culprit on why NIO did go down. As much as it's easy to always blame shorts, I feel like there's a lot of things that's happening behind the scenes that's really adding a certain level of suppression to NIO, one of which was data. So first thing this morning, we did have vehicle sales came in at 8.8, which generally is good, but forecast was 14.4. So not necessarily the best. I think that kind of falls under having the too high of expectations category. But tomorrow we do have a lot of big data on a side note in the evening. So industrial production, retail sales, unemployment, new loans, money supply. So that could really change and impact potentially Friday. But nonetheless, this is just one of many data points that have been coming out not in line with expectation. So we might have that whole stimulus discussion again near the end of November, possibly early December. Aside from that though, you also have NIO's technicals not the greatest. And this is something I've really brought up time and time again. And so as of right now, the time doing this video, it is below that 50-day moving average. And historically speaking, that is a very big deal for growth stocks and especially even NIO. So last time it did break below the 50-day moving average was way back in May. And that is where it did cause it to go from about $4 to $3.34. So of course that's kind of a 20-ish% run or a pull lower, and that might potentially happen this time around. So we'll have to wait and see how things do play out, but coming from the technical standpoint, things aren't looking the greatest. So right now it is below both the 10 and 50-day moving average. The 100-day moving average is sitting at 582, and then you have the 200-day moving average sitting at 493. There really hasn't been all that much in real like news or articles or anything like that. They did put out one PR. I wouldn't say it's like crazy news, but they did announce the date of their earnings. And in my opinion, as crazy as the market is, I think the market might have taken this as a negative. So they did announce the date of their Q3 earnings to be November the 25th. And like I said, I think generally it was supposed to have been sometime this week, them actually having the date of their earnings, if not early next week. So every time a company pushes back a earnings, usually Wall Street sees that as a red flag. This is going to be very, very unpopular opinion, but it's the truth. And this is how just the psychology of the market does work. So for instance, if a company moves up their earnings, a lot of people see that as bullish, optimistic, same as when companies push it back. So this is one of the latest earnings that they have done. So again, if you can take that for face value, or maybe that might be just the market kind of thinking too much into it. But interestingly enough, I did see a couple people post about that being pushed back. So it is on people's minds. But historically speaking, every time NIO does announce their earnings, things kind of move higher. So something as well just to keep that in mind. The only things that really came out worthwhile to bring up in October, China's largest SUV retail sales top 10, and that you have good old the L90 as number 2 with 11,722, and then the ES8 at number 5 with 6,703. So pretty good stuff as far as that. You had Alfonso mentioning that I guess NIO is closing their one and only battery swap station in Denmark. So not necessarily the best, of course, but generally I think a lot of Chinese EVs and American as well have really been struggling to get into kind of Europe and get a good foothold on that. So let me know your viewpoint on that in the comments below. Aside from that, shorts. Like I said, shorts are often enough the cause and kind of the blame for everything. But today, shorts did return 733,000 shares. So they weren't necessarily the cause for today. 11.27% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 155.9 million shares overall being shorted. So kind of interesting stuff. They are breaking their trend. So it went from around 10.39 to where it is now. So shorts over the last week have started to increase a little bit, but not today, as I mentioned. But looking at the options, 6.23 million in calls, 3.4 in puts, and then 41% of all the options being done were bullish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $7 range. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub $6.50. So definitely you have a little bit of a battle anticipated. These are some of the transactions that did occur on the secondary market. So 3 of which were buys, 2 sells. So institutions weren't really doing that much with NIO. Aside from that, these were some of the transactions that did occur on the dark pool. So fairly quiet. And given how much shorts did, it is fair to assume that most of this is actually linked to them. So I think just NIO is due for some consolidation now. Nothing really too worried about that. If it does somehow, for whatever reason, dip below $6, this is where I think I would be a buyer again. Right now with it at 645, it is trading right below this S2. So 649 is going to be that key pivot, and then 615 is going to be that strong support. But again, if it does break below that 615, then you could see 529 on the table. And again, that's kind of the range where I will buy, in between that $5.29 and $6 range, because I feel like at that stage it's a pretty good risk versus reward. I think that over the last couple of trading days, all of this price action, so over the last 5 days, down 5.43%, a lot of which is just unjustified, and it's just lack of institutions, geopolitical issues, and many things that constantly always does plague NIO. So let me know your viewpoint. Did you buy? Did you sell? What are you doing with NIO? And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.